Greetings! I think everybody thought I was like hating on Nikon when I made a video yesterday where I hammered a dead Nikon camera, and that's not the case. I've still got 8 Nikon cameras and all my Nikon lenses except for one, my 600mm f4. Things change every 6 months on professional and Nikon cameras. Still cannot recommend the Nikon D5. It's just absolutely not worth buying. If you need something for a decent buffer for sports action wildlife, Nikon D500. If you need something that's a full frame, you know, portraiture, yada yada yada, it's the Nikon D850. And considering what the Nikon D5 is, people say, why don't you talk about the Nikon D5? It's not because, I can't afford to buy one. I can't recommend it. I mean, for the cost of a Nikon D5, I could buy a dozen lenses, the Nikon D850 and the Nikon D500. Specifically, I can't recommend the Nikon D3 right now, and the specific reason is that up until now, the significantly expensive Nikon D3s, which is actually still used by a lot of sports action photographers, has come down significantly within $150 of the price of a Nikon D3. So in its place, for the average cost currently used in very good condition of $800+ is the Nikon D3s. What about the Nikon D3x? No, never recommended that. That's where Nikon actually pushed it too far. It's kind of like making a fat, out of shape person like myself trying to run a marathon. They actually pushed the D3x too far before actually coming out with the next iteration, which of course is Nikon D4, excuse me. But so the only camera that I recommend at that level is the D3s, which is still an incredible camera. I'm never going to sell the Nikon D3s. Next up, right now, it's actually come down from the price of $2,000 average for a decent one that hasn't had the hell rode out of it and back again. That would be a good used Nikon D4, averaging currently between $1,600 and $1,700, depending on how many clicks it has on it. That's the Nikon D4. Yeah, right there. Oh my God, the output on this camera is absolutely incredible. It's almost impossible to clip the highlights on a Nikon D4. Of course you can, but it's significantly hard. I don't have one anymore, but the Nikon D810 is actually my other top recommended value for $1,100 used in really, really, really good condition. You really cannot do any finer. I mean, you're not going to do hardcore sports action with it. The D810, the autofocus is very, very slightly quirky. One thing that absolutely drives people totally ape poop is the autofocus calibration issue on the Nikon D810. I always get emails from people like, I got this issue, I can't calibrate my lenses on my Nikon cameras. Well, let me guess, it's a Nikon D810, right? Yeah, how did you know? I was like, it's an inherent issue of the Nikon D810. But for $1,100 used, absolutely top recommended value currently. Like I said, all these recommendations change every 6 months or so, roughly thereabouts, and it's been longer than that since I made recommendations. Nikon D500, really minty used ones, and I got 2 of them. All my videos, by the way, are making on a Nikon D500. My other Nikon D500, it's over there, you can't see it. Here's my other Nikon D500, right there. Currently, $1,000 minty used condition. Absolutely incredible. I'm so glad I was the first person on YouTube to review this camera. I told everybody to shut up and buy it, and everybody told me I was full of crap. It's like, nah, $2,000 for a crop sensor camera, you're so full of crap, you tattooed monkey. I'm like, no, I'm not. And of course, I was V for vindicated, 1,000% vindicated on the Nikon D500. My Nikon recommendations have always been spot on. And then people will say, what about the Z6 and Z7? I have deviated not even 1% in recommending, rather lack thereof recommendation, on the Nikon Z6 and Z7. Absolutely not. No way in hell. No. If they come out one with has communication for vertical grip, has decent autofocus, has sufficient control and user interface, yeah, and also has a dual card slot, yeah, and all that other stuff, then I'll recommend it. People say, why don't you ever talk about Nikon stuff anymore? You don't like Nikon anymore? It's like, no, that's not the case. You let me know when Nikon comes out with something worth buying, and I will buy it. Yeah? And it's just really as simple as that. Last recommendation for $2,300 average used minty condition is the best DSLR ever made. I said that in my review. It is the single DSLR that is a jack of all trades and basically a master of all trades. Nikon D500 does beat it for buffer. And for autofocus tracking, the reason for that is, of course, the autofocus module covers more of the sensor because it's a crop sensor. When you're actually talking about tracking objects like birds and cars and bicycles, yada, 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 the autofocus module covers more of the sensor than does that of the Nikon D850. Yes, indeed. So Nikon D850, average of $2,300, minty used condition, absolutely undeniably the best DSLR ever made by anybody. Best do-it-all, knows all, does all. It is the, I don't know, what can we call this? I was trying to think of a person that is like a marathon winner and like a, I don't know. There's no person like that in life. I was trying to come up with a personal analogy of somebody in life that just like accomplished it all in every arena of life. There are a few people like that, but none of them come to mind. So yeah, I still have all my Nikon cameras. Yes, indeed I do. The only lens I don't have anymore is a 600mm f4, which I really don't use. I just use it for relaxation, for bird photography. 600mm f4 is wonderful. I've owned a couple of them, slightly impractical, but yeah, don't go accusing me of hating on Nikon because I don't hate Nikon. No, indeed I don't. I love Nikon a lot. Yes, indeed. I'm saying that as I'm wiping off the fingerprint off the top screen of my Nikon D3s. So let me know if you have any questions. I have no affiliate links. I don't sell anything. Yeah. And yeah. If you like these videos, just send me an email and click the link below. You could help. Let me know if you got a question on anything. I'm always answering questions, so always. And for all those people that have been accusing me of hating on Nikon, just because I made a funny 2-minute video of smashing a hammer on a dead Nikon, you're a Nikon hater! You're a Nikon hater! You're a Nikon hater! Wait for it. Nikon. Was that a bit too over the top? Was that too over the top? I don't think it was. It's not like I brought any sock puppets into the video. Yeah? You want me to bring a sock puppet into the video? No? I don't want people to think I'm too crazy. Because I'm not crazy at all. I'm actually hyperlogical. Did you really think a guy that translates ancient Greek and writes books on field theory is like crazy or illogical? Did you think that? Did you think that? I got a good sense of humor, but illogical? No. No. Live long and prosper. I'm not a Star Trek nerd, by the way. Never accuse me of being a Star Trek nerd. Bye.